Sorry. Good afternoon and welcome to the studio. We're here today. It's been a little bit chaotic today as we've moved some furniture around here. It's also very hot, but it's great to be here, isn't it, Bernard?
Yeah, it is. Even we have to, to reorder, and that is part of our good news because we are able to do that, and we are preparing to be more and more developed in our project, and to have many possibility to meet you and subjects to talk together.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of Zoom meetings as we have been doing over this last year. Yesterday, one of them was with the South End Emergency Fund. Just saying thank you to them for funding part of this project. So that's another plug for the South End Emergency Fund. They are developing that fund, and there may be other groups out there that want to or that need a boost to their funds, and it would be a great place to apply to get some funding for your project. It's quite a simple application. You get the answers very quickly. So that's superb. So I had a Zoom meeting with them last night, so that was really good. Also met a lady called Julie, and we are going to invite her in maybe next week, maybe in a couple of weeks' time, to talk to us about how older people and people with dementia have coped with the pandemic and what we can do to help them and support that age group of people out in the next few weeks. She's going to help us with some thinking.
And that is great news because we know all of us, we have relatives who need special help, and we need people who got experience and expertise in that, and Julie is the one who already has in her church a project, and she will be able to help us and to answer to your question if you want to just connect her.
So if you've got questions, particularly focusing on older people, then think of them. You can email them to us even now, studio@livestreams.org.uk, or you can text it, go onto our website, livestreams.org.uk, with your questions. It'd be really good to know what you are thinking, getting your feedback in for that. We've had lots of hot weather recently, and one of the good news things is that we have, I wouldn't say completed the garden project. We've come to the starting point of the garden project at St Stephen's Church at 213 Manners Way. We call it 213. There's a wonderful garden there. This is to support people and families with dementia or other needs, and for children as well, to learn about growing food, vegetables, eating healthily, composting, everything. So that's a project that's really in its infancy, and Dawn has been appointed the project leader there. She's working hard down at the garden project, and so you will hear more about that. During that hot weather, we laid down lots of turfs, not just Bernard and me, there was a whole team of people doing that. We've been watering the grass to see it grow. Most of it has taken, some of it has died unfortunately because it has been so hot, and so we've been grateful for the rain that we've had today, or last night.
It's
and
refreshed
today.
our garden.
It's refreshed it all, but we're still baking hot in this little place here today. So that project, look out for that project as we go along. So that's another good news story. There's lots of good things happening in and around the town. Last week, remember, we had Marie here talking about youth work and how pandemic has challenged young people, teenagers. We can hear more from her. I thought that was really interesting to hear from her. And we'll perhaps invite her back again in the future. What we thought was that we would look at children today. And I'm no expert. My children, it's our middle son's birthday today. He's 31 today. So happy birthday to Aaron. He's at work, so he's not watching this live. He's our middle son. We haven't got any young children at the moment. And we hear stories of young children coping or struggling over this last few months. And we hear also this week that every adult, everyone that's over 18 can get vaccinations from today or tomorrow. So all that is good. But what about the children? Are they the forgotten ones? How are the young children coping? And so we have Dave here, the behind the camera, the tech guy. Dave, he's not only a parent of two lovely young children, he's also a tech guy, he's also the magic man, and he is a children's entertainer. And so we've just asked Dave to come out from behind the camera to join us at this time, to get an insight into your views about how children have coped, or have they understand. Your children are...
So I have a little girl who's 5 and a little boy who's 7.
So how have they have they understood lockdown, pandemic? How have they coped?
It's been a very kind of strange situation, I think, for everyone involved. I think there's been a lot of parents who've really kind of struggled getting to grips with the fact that we went through having near enough a whole year of having our children with us 24/7. Now the kids loved it. At first they thought it was a few days off from school, but we were really good because we were able to give them a routine, and they went from having a routine of going to school to having a routine of going into our dining room, where we'd set up a little table for them so they did schoolwork at home. So we really tried to keep that structure, and I think that really helped. I know a lot of other children didn't kind of handle it as well as mine, but they were quite accepting actually. They were kind of very much, it is what it is, which is refreshing.
Did they understand kind of what was going on in the world, or was it just, oh yeah, we're off school and something different's happened? How was their understanding of it?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I think it's very much... they knew that something had happened. They knew that obviously there was a virus going around and it was making people ill. Obviously not to the extent of what we're hearing on the news, but they knew that there was something bad happening, and that's why we had to stay at home.
Yeah.
We sat our children down, we talked to them on one of the earliest days of lockdown, and we kind of explained to them what was happening. Obviously we didn't go into full details because we didn't want to scare them, but it gave them an understanding of actually why we were at home. So if you ask that little one, Hannah, she will say it's because of the virus.
Yeah.
But sorry, about they are young, you said, your children are very young. I suppose that the older children, the youths, they understand easier about what happened, and they can socialize as they did this before.
Absolutely.
How your children understand? Did they miss that?
They completely did. The schools were really, really good actually. So my children's school, which is St Mary's, they had weekly Zoom meetings where the children could talk with each other. They could still see their teachers. The teachers constantly gave feedback, which was nice, but they missed that genuine social interaction. My little boy, who's 7, at the start of lockdown, he used to go out into our garden because we've got a trampoline, and one of his school friends in the same class as him lives about 3 doors up from us. So every afternoon they would go out onto their trampolines and they would bounce, and just they could say hello and talk to each other because they missed that little connection.
So they had to
it literally was the synchronised bouncing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it was really strange because I thought, when my daughter started school this September, I really thought she would struggle with the whole lockdown coming back, but it's like a duck to water. And that they're such resilient, especially because they're so resilient, they can bounce straight back in and they're not afraid to make new friends.
Yeah, so one of the fears is that children, particularly the younger children, will be behind in their social interaction or social development. And I wonder whether that is more sort of baby toddler age group, or as Hannah 5.
Yeah, she's 5 now. Yeah.
That her age group, you think she'll just, this is different, and it won't affect her in that way.
I said, children are very, very resilient. You can throw anything at them, and they'll always usually bounce back, and usually with a bit more energy. And I really think that's the case. From seeing my daughter's class, who obviously they just started school, so that's like that most crucial kind of social networking point. Then, they've taken to it really well. I think one of the big things that the school noticed actually is where they kind of expected relationships to form because of obviously the lockdown and how everything's changed. and that relationships in the classes are different to what they've expected. So actually, the classes are now going to be mixed up at our school. That's kind of aid with that.
We just talked about the good weather we had the last few days. How does good weather change your dynamic in your families with your children?
We went out a lot more. We tried to go down to Southend and seafront, but it's so packed. And the good weather comes out and kind of everyone just goes, let's go to the beach. So that was obviously not able to do that. But we tried to make the most of it by going to the park and things like that. And it's nice to be able to go out and see them with their friends in nice big open spaces. Obviously, like today when it's pouring with rain, we can't really go out. But when the weather's out, and obviously because of COVID restrictions, we're now able to go and socialise.
Did the parties on the entertainments, spectacles start already for the children in the open air?
Well, that's kind of a whole different topic. It's really quite different because actually, with children's entertainment in particular, so obviously you said I'm a magician. I do magic shows for obviously different children entertainment.
Birthday party or
exactly. That's why I do lots of parties and private events. They've slowly started coming back. So what's happening now is people having garden parties or parties in the park, and basically ways of following kind of the COVID rules. And so while we can't exactly go around to all your friends' houses, or they've only just been allowed to, should I say, people have found these kind of little workarounds to have these celebrations whilst kind of following the rules. And I know there's a lot of people who are kind of really worried about that at the moment, obviously because obviously rules are changing and people are being booked and for so many parties from kind of July onwards, with everyone expecting that the rules would have changed. And obviously that hasn't happened.
We talked last time with Marie about what the media say about children, the lost generation of the COVID. You as dad, as parent, and your wife as well, can you consider that your children were affected so badly about of the pandemic that they lost something very important in their developing?
If you'd have asked me during the lockdown, I would have said yes, and absolutely, because again they became but as I said, I think now we're coming out of it more. The dynamics are so different, and suddenly, as I said, children bounce back. Now they start having that social learning game. They're getting back to themselves. Yes, they'll still be nervous about things.
There are real marks on them because of
So I think the big thing is my daughter, when she went back to school for the first time, one of her teachers wanted to give her a high five, and she's like, no, I can't social distancing. Now she'll run up and she'll be a bit more closer with people. But no, I think it's very much is just they're learning again to be like kids, and they're easing back into it.
I just wonder, let me just interrupt for a moment, if anybody out there wants to add a question or a comment on, if you put it on the live streams, the Facebook page comment, I can see them here because
I'm normally at the back helping you out.
So please do ask a question or make a comment, because every parent, every family's experience is going to be different.
It is.
I know lots of people struggle with homeschooling and all of that, and that's just the way it is.
So we were quite lucky because of my magic stuff, I'm self-employed, so that meant that obviously I didn't have to I couldn't go to work for the first that part of it. So obviously it meant that I could stay home and dedicate that time to keeping the children on a strict track. But I know lots of other parents who weren't able to do that. I think the big thing is, whatever happened during lockdown, it's okay as a parent. You could just stuck them in front of the TV, let them watch the bite-sized stuff or CBBS, and that's fine, because it was unprecedented times. No one knew what was happening, and as long as they're fed and alive, that's the important thing.
We suggest, if you like, it would be great if you put your story on in the comments, or just share with others how you coped in this time with your children or grandchildren.
I think one of the things the following questions is what can we do as the live streams group of churches. One of the things that we are doing is opening up our new carer and toddler group next week on Tuesday morning. I'm going to get the time wrong now. 10 o'clock?
I think it's 10 o'clock.
I think it's 10
I'm going to apologise to Hannah if that's wrong.
Tuesday morning anyway, called Droplets. It's an exciting new project that Hannah is leading up. And I think why that's important is that parents and toddlers have been struggling. Babies that are born in lockdown, they know nothing else. And I think that interaction I think it's always good for parents with toddlers to get together and talk and all that. I think that's even more important now.
I think it's also, sorry to interrupt, it's also important for the parents especially, because especially when you have newborn children, you become very kind of insular and isolated with not just raising the child. So the fact that you have that time to kind of join with other people and share those worries and those things that you're anxious about. I think parent and toddler groups like that were a lifesaver for me when I was a little kid. When I had my little kids.
Yeah. Hannah's just commented in. It's 9:30.
Oh, sorry, Hannah. 9:30.
9:30 till 12. So thanks, Hannah. And she's also said she spoke to lots of parents with newborns that feel alone, and exactly that. And then that's exactly why this group is happening, and that's why we want to open it now in a safe and secure way. So thank you, Hannah, for that. And she's also commented that her children or their children go to the same school as yours. Their experience was very different, and that's what we're saying, that everyone's experience is different, and there's no rights or wrongs.
Absolutely.
And they weren't lucky enough to use the garden, but they did have a great time. They had a difficult time with COVID for family reasons as well. And there's probably many people out there with that kind of experience. And I think we want to support people and be there to listen to people's stories. I think people need to express their story. And, that's what we can do as church communities, is we are here to listen, we are here to support.
I've definitely been a lot more positive on it than I thought I was going to be. But at the same time, going off what Hannah was saying, there's a lot of kind of family challenges that you don't realise. Not being able to see grandparents was a huge one, because obviously my children used to be able to go to their grandparents whenever we wanted, and suddenly, unless you were part of our kind of inner family, you didn't see each other. We kind of tried to do workarounds of it with the whole Skype or meeting in the park, very socially distanced, that kind of thing. But it's just the same, and children really did miss that. So there were quite a few struggles.
So you're finding that people are booking you for the children's entertainment thing now, or are they is it just suddenly going to take off in August or whenever? It's
been a really kind of interesting 2 months really, because when they first announced the whole lockdown plan, we were looking really quite fantastic. We can actually start booking things in. I started opening up my bookings to allow like garden parties and things like that, and I started getting inundated with them. I think within 2 or 3 day span, I think I had 10 shows booked in for just 3 days, all garden parties, all socially distanced, and it was brilliant. And obviously everyone geared up to the fact that obviously on June the 21st, I think it was supposed to be, that we were able to have parties back to normal completely. And obviously Boris changed all that, and obviously fair dues, that has to happen. And then since then, obviously the bookings they've kind of dried up a little bit. But I think one of the big things I've had is I've had my phone going off. I think it's actually been going off whilst this is going on actually, with a lot of concerned parents going, well, where do we stand with our children's parties? How is that going to affect what we have? And I think one of the biggest things that I've been saying to people is don't panic. There are always workarounds. We're still in the last phase of where we were in lockdown, so nothing's really changed for the last month. So we can still have garden parties, you can still have parties in the parks, you can still even get a gazebo as long as you have 2 sides up to let airflow through. There's lots and lots of options out there. And so one of the kind of big things I've been saying to a lot of people is just don't panic. If your child's got a birthday coming up, then it's fine if you have to delay a party, it's okay. Or looking at alternatives. One of the things that I've really been pleased about is I've been able to talk with children as well recently who've had their parties delayed for an extra month, and they're really accepting of it. Obviously they're a bit sad that it didn't happen when they originally wanted to, But I've kind of been saying to them it's a bit like the Queen's birthday,
Yeah,
and that they get a second birthday
two
party
birthdays.
and 2 birthday, and they absolutely love it. So there are lots of workarounds.
I'm guessing the parents struggle more than the children.
I think it is.
In lots of cases.
I think parents want it to be the best they can, and they put in so much effort to pick the right entertainers, pick the right venues and everything, and suddenly, when it all falls apart, they don't know what to do. But I would say get in contact with the people you've booked, and that they're always there to help. And I know I am. So I'll probably be on the phone for the rest of the evening to different people going, it's okay, this is how we'll work it around it.
Yeah. Dave, thank you very much
No problem.
for your insights and thought-provoking. Thank you, Hannah, for your comments as well. And let me just be clear, Droplets is at St Peter's, in the hall there at St Peter's. That's Tuesday morning, 9:30, starting on the 22nd of June. So that's an exciting thing. That is at St Peter's, not at St Sed's. That's where we are here at the studio. So I think that's about all we've got time for this week. If you have any questions, comments, insights into any of those things that we've talked about today, or
things on. I'm going to have to do my
thank you, or for the older generation, people with dementia, people with mental health issues, that kind of thing, I think we'll be talking about that next week. So send in your comments, your questions. If you want to be interviewed, if you want to appear here at the studio, then let us know. studio@livestreams.org.uk. You can send us an email. Is there anything else we need to say, Bernard?
Thank you for the time spending with us and talking and sharing your stories and your questions, because if we want to do something, we can do only with you, not without you. And thank you very much.
Yeah.
Question of the week.
Oh, question of the week. We've got a question of the week. What's the question of the week?
So today's question is a really simple one. It is, who do you think is going to win the Euro 2020/21? Do you think England's in with a chance?
Yeah. Simple.
Good one.
Yeah. I'm a big England supporter. I think England have certainly got the capabilities of winning it. Italy played really well again last night. It was superb. They'll be a difficult team to beat. Don't concede many goals. They can score. They pass the ball fairly easily. The other home nations, I think the big match is on Friday night, England against Scotland. That will be an interesting one. I think Scotland have actually got a really good team. If they can get it together, they could give England a big scare. And Wales, of course, did well yesterday, despite Gareth Bale missing a penalty. Well done, Aaron Ramsey, for scoring that the first important goal. Yeah, I think all the teams got a chance. I would have to go for England. Italy, France were good the other day.
What about you, Bernard?
I don't watch football. I'm sorry, then I'm lost totally from this subject. I'm out. Then that's it.
Yeah, see, I'm the sports one. It's Wimbledon coming up as well. I'm not just into the football. Wimbledon's coming up. Andy Murray won at Queen's a couple of days ago. He's got another match, I think, today. See how his recovery is coming on. So well done, Andy, for that the other day. Yeah, and it's the Tour de France is coming up soon as well.
Well, yeah, much better.
So,
this is much interesting for me.
Yeah, good. So
I
we're into the
will
cycling
be there.
as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All the sports. Yeah, so I could go on about it all day. But we are back again next week, around about 1:30 for the studio next week. So God bless you. Have a great week. And so it's goodbye from me.
See you soon. Bye.